Once more again, we say good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to our channel where we'll dive deep into the various types of visas that can help you to come to the US. So today, we want to talk about a visa that talks about relationship, fiancé, love, romance, relationship visa, what you're calling K1 visa. So K1 visa is an immigrant visa that allows a foreign fiancé to be able to come to the United States, but then while he or she is coming to the United States, he or she must be able to get married to the US citizen within 90 days of arrival in the United States for it to hold. So that is the major thing that anyone else has to know first about K1 visa. So if you're a Kenyan and you found a lady in the US, or you found a man and you're a Kenyan woman and you want to come to the United States and get married, then the visa to think about is what you're calling what? The K1 visa. So for today, we shall be looking deep into eligibility for this particular visa, qualification, requirements, and duration while in the United States. So for one to qualify for a K1 visa, both the US citizen and the foreign fiancé must meet certain requirements, and that is what I'm going to look at one after the other. So for the US citizen, who is the petitioner? Remember, he's the one who goes and files the case. So we are saying that for the US citizen must, number one, be able to prove that he or she is a US citizen through birth certificate, through providing passport, through providing certificate of naturalization. That is the first thing. Then the couple must also intend to marry within 90 days of the foreign fiancé arriving in the United States. The second requirement, the US citizen must have met the foreigner at least 2 years, before filing for the K1 visa. They must have met in the past for 2 years prior to filing the K1 visa petition. Unless meeting in person, then maybe we are saying that you will need to apply for a waiver saying that you've never met, and these are some of the reasons. Maybe it could be because your religion does not allow you to meet unless you're getting married, or maybe because of circumstances, maybe because of distance. But then for that to hold, then if you've not met in person and you don't have evidence, maybe in form of air ticket going to visit your fiancé, in form of having photos showing that you've been together for the past 2 years, then you need to go and apply for a waiver. So the US citizen must also be legally able to marry, meaning he or she is not supposed to be in any existing marriage or be married to anyone else at the time of petitioning for K1 visa. For the foreign fiancé, what are the requirements or the beneficiary? So the foreign fiancé must also be eligible to marry the US citizen, meaning at the time of this particular K1 visa being filed, he or she is not supposed to be married. That is number one. That's what we mean by being eligible to marry the US citizen. Then, apart from that, also we are saying that the foreign fiancé must be able to prove they are in a genuine relationship with the US citizen. No faking, that the evidence has to be there that, hey, I'm genuinely in love with this particular person, and therefore we want to go to the altar and tie a knot. Then the foreign fiancé must also be able to pass the medical test, from a qualified and a professional physician to show that he or she is healthy. Not only that, but also criminal and background check, history, and also security clearances. What are some of the required documentation for this particular visa to go through? So, Form I-129F, petition for alien fiancé filed by the US citizen. So the Form I-129F, this one is filed by the US citizen who is marrying a foreigner. Then proof of US citizenship of the petitioner, let's say maybe birth certificate, US passport, etc. So proof of genuine relationship, and this one can be done maybe through photos. You've taken photos of this with this particular person, there is correspondence, travel records. For example, maybe you've traveled to go and meet him or her in his or her motherland. Maybe the person has come to the US. Yeah. Then evidence that the couple has met in person within the past 2 years prior to the filing of the K1 visa. That proof has to be there. Then also proof of the foreign fiancee's eligibility to marry. So if this particular foreign fiancé was married in the past, then there has to be a divorce letter or showing that. If not, or maybe the person is a widow, then there has to be death certificate of the previous couple or husband or wife. If not, then we are saying that there has to be eligibility, that there is no impending factors that will prevent the foreign fiancé from marrying the US citizen. Completed Form DS-160. Online and immigrant visa application submitted by the foreign fiancé. So the foreign fiancé is supposed to be able to fill and submit this. Not only that, but also medical exam results from an approved physician from the foreign fiancé. Also, apart from that, you're talking about a police clearance or background criminal check from the foreign fiancé to ensure that there is no any impending danger or that this particular person has never involved in any criminal activity. Processing time. So the processing time for the K1 visa can vary, but typically it is several months for the US citizenship and immigrant services to approve the I-129F form for the visa to be processed through the US consulate. Generally, it takes around 6 to 9 months filing the I-129F form. So being approved for a K1 visa, but this can vary depending on the specific circumstances. Duration to stay in the United States. The K1 visa allows the foreign fiancé to enter the US for a period of 90 days and get married within those particular 90 days. So after entering the US, the foreign fiancé must marry within 90 days. That one you've already said. If the marriage doesn't occur within this time, the foreign fiancé must leave the US or face potential deportation. So within 90 days of arrival, a marriage has to take place. Once married now, then the foreign spouse can apply for adjustment of status. By now, let's say applying for what you're calling to become a lawful permanent resident, what you're calling a green card holder. So the foreign national status is then adjusted and they may remain in the US while waiting for their green card. Changing status after being married. So after marriage, within the 90 days period, what happens? The foreign national can apply for green card permanent residence through adjustment of status form I-185. I-485 form. So when you are applying for the change of for the change of status. So this one will allow the individual to stay in the United States while the green card application is being processed. During this particular period, the foreign spouse may also apply for a work permit, EAD, that is a work permit, and advance parole. Advance parole is simply the travel permission. You are allowed to travel in and out of the US. Children of the foreign fiancé, in case the foreign fiancé had children who are under 21 years, they are allowed to accompany their parent to the US, during this particular period with a K2 visa, and the K2 children must also undergo the visa application process and be approved for the same. Visa denial. If the K1 visa is denied, the US citizen and foreign fiancé must find out the reason for the denial. Common reasons include insufficient evidence of a genuine relationship, failure to meet eligibility requirements, or incomplete documentation. In this case, the couple may appeal or reapply again. So in case it is denied, you must find the reasons. Find the reason out and know why was our K1 visa denied. In case of such, you either have the chance to appeal or either way have a chance to reapply again. Traveling outside the US. If the fiancé enters the US on a K1 visa, they cannot leave and re-enter without permission from US Immigration Authority, as leaving the US during this particular period can jeopardize the K1 visa status. After marriage, the foreign spouse can apply for an entry permit or advance parole if they need to travel abroad while waiting for their green card, meaning you cannot just travel in and out at any time without being what? Being given a parole advance to allow you to travel in and out of the US. In summary, the K1 visa allows a citizen to bring the foreign fiancé to the US to marry them within 90 days. After the marriage, the foreign spouse can apply for permanent residency through adjustment of status. So the process requires proving the authenticity of the relationship and meeting eligibility criteria. And as we've said, there are what you're calling what? Specific deadlines and time frames that must be adhered to for a successful outcome of K1 visa, failure of which K1 visa might be denied. All the same, in the comment section we will have written material over the same. Go through, read it, learn more about it, comment, subscribe, share, and let us do this together. Thank you.